Well, happy Saturday out there, all my written undeaders. Once again, we are back for another fantastic show coming fresh off the Sasquatch Festival that me and Richard Ryan Rose attended, which was an absolute home run. Recommend to any author out there, if you get a chance to go do a convention of any sort, go do it. Interact with the fans, bring a good cheerleader along with you. It'll work out great. Trust me on that one. Well, this week, myself, Jack Childress, Richard Ryan Rose, Angel Ramon, and Jennifer Amato Potato. She and me and we are interviewing the one, the only Joshua Chad, author of the Brothers Creed series. What is up, my man?
Oh, not much. Excited to be here. Excited to get into some shenanigans.
Well, hey, first off, I got to say, I'm jealous of your microphone. I've got mic jealousy right now. I'm just going to say that thing is gorgeous.
It only took 5 years of doing podcasts, running a podcast and stuff before I finally actually got a legit mic.
Well, now, fact, guys, Joshua may look older than me, but he's actually a year younger than me.
Really?
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm not sure
if I cut this off, I lose 5 years, maybe 15 years.
Wow.
I look about 12.
Yeah. I mean, I was in shock when I found that out.
Same here.
I'm the old font.
Yeah.
I used to have that syndrome, and then let's see, I got old.
Yeah, now you have a bald head.
Thanks, Angel. Bald is sexy. Everybody knows that.
It is. I'm gonna be this soon anyway. So hey.
So
I got
now
my headphone hides my growing bald spot, as my wife keeps reminding me, and I'm like, "Come on, you're not supposed to tell anybody, especially not me."
I just
oh, we were on the same team.
Exactly.
So now, Joshua, when did you first start writing the Brothers Creed?
Oh, it was probably back in middle school, high school is when I actually first started. Actually, it was high school. It started off as just a small little short story for my English class. And then I wrote another 2 chapters, and then it kind of just sat for a very long time. And then finally finished it in 2017.
Oh, we're picking up an echo.
So it looks like, okay.
That's me. I'm sorry. I fixed it.
Okay. Good deal. Carry on, good sir.
So what's the synopsis?
So one thing I want to say is that's why I love going live, because there's just I just spent literally 2.5 days doing a 2.5-minute video for my Kickstarter, and it didn't come out any way I wanted it to. But when you go live, you just roll with the punches. There's always I don't think I've ever done one when there hasn't been something that's gone wrong. So anyway, I just love that. Feels good to be live again. So the synopsis is it especially the first book really centers around 2 brothers that are they were kind of raised a little differently. They're very outdoorsy. They're into hunting. They're not necessarily preppers, but they have a lot of the stuff. And so when the zombie apocalypse happens, when zombies start showing up, they're semi-prepared and they're kind of excited. And what was really fun was because I was sitting there at that time, and I still think it'd be kind of cool. But anyway, I was like, oh man, the zombie apocalypse would actually be kind of cool. And that's what these characters felt. And then as things went on, it just got darker and darker. And I mean, the more people died and stuff, then it got kind of more serious. But so it follows them. And then there's another group that comes in. And then as the story gets bigger, it follows a whole group as they're trying to get to a safe haven in Alaska. And it's just their journey northward. So
what made you decide? Well, there you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why
no, you're fine.
Alaska?
Better question than mine.
So I was born and raised in Alaska. I spent most of my spring, summer, falls out at a hunting lodge that was it was the only way to get there was flying or a 2-day horse ride. And so these characters being heavily based off my brother and I, the whole concept for this story when I first started writing it was my brother and I used to travel a lot, and we would always be like, okay, what happens if the alien invasion, the zombie apocalypse? And so we had a zombie apocalypse survival plan. And so then that's kind of what was the catalyst for this series. And so as these 2 brothers that are heavily based off of us, they're like, okay, we have a plan for this. Let's hightail it up to Alaska. We could be self-sufficient. The one brother also in real life was a bush pilot. So he knows how to fly the planes in and out and supplement whatever resources they have at the lodge. So that's where they're trying to get to, is trying to get up there. And then they're they're far enough away to where they are not going to get many zombies out there. There's swamps and lakes and mountains and in between them and towns. So, yep.
Well, I don't mean to frighten you, but M.A. Robbins has a series and it starts in Alaska.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it gets out of hand really fast. So no worries.
M.A. Robbins. I think is he in the Reanimated Writers Group?
I think he may be.
So.
I know he's in several places, but here's the Red
Yes.
Gang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I got one of his books. We've talked a little bit because him being up. I think he lives in Anchorage, maybe. Because he's from or lives in Alaska. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, I sometimes I see your pictures from Alaska whenever you go there. I mean, it's breathtaking to say the least. I have to say, Alaska looks wonderful, even though it's cold, but it looks so wonderful out there.
It's on my bucket list.
It's awesome, and it should be. I mean, it's one of those places where for us being in the United States, and it's so easy to get there. It's like it's not quite, but it's almost like going to another country. It's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever watch the show Life Below Zero?
I did not. I mean, and this is no offense to anybody out there. I don't really like reality TV shows, and then especially ones that are based in anything that I know anything about. Because then that's
what made me think of that. I was like,
yeah, because I'm just like, okay, that's not real. That's
none
not
taken
real.
here. I hate reality shows too. So don't worry.
Yep. I don't know about Richard, but I know when with cops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we're both law enforcement.
Over
it's like, no, I'm done.
Yeah. You don't have to read someone their rights just because you're placing them under arrest. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That irritated me so much. Why are you reading them their rights? You're not even asking them any questions. You don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Josh, since how you've been to Alaska so much, did you have to do any extra research to fill in any blanks when you reached that part of your story?
So not once I reached that part. Getting there. So I've only driven down the Alcan once. And in my first book, so it's my first book. So I give myself a little grace. I was lazy. I was just flat out lazy. I changed the name of towns so I didn't have to see how they were formatted and all that kind of stuff. And then by book two, I'm like, okay, let's actually do this and do a little bit more research into the locations, which was honestly one of the best decisions I ever made. Cause I just was contacted, I don't know, it was several months ago by a guy that's like, he's in Wyoming. So a big part of my story takes place when they're going through like Sheridan area. And he's like, I know exactly that road. I've been to that gas station, and it really helps immerse the reader. And so that took the most amount of research, was getting between once they left Montana through the Alcan, was like, okay, Google Maps was my biggest friend. I would almost always have Google Maps up on either corner of my screen, my second monitor, because it's like, and it really helped me too, because I would get to places where I might get a little bit of writer's block. I'm like, I don't know what's supposed to happen. And I'll just follow the road a little bit more. And almost every time something that was going to come up, whether like a quarry or there's a lake coming, it would kind of spur on my imagination. And yeah, so that was most of the research, was location. And looking at like, oh, my Google turned on for some reason.
Talked it up.
Listening.
Does it all the time.
Oh, it's crazy. It's kind of scary. But anyway, and one of the funnest things was looking on Google Maps, looking at how a building is, and then trying to figure out what the interior looked like without, breaking into people's houses to see what it actually looked like.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, they probably wouldn't appreciate that. Yes. But it was for research. So probably still wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I think you'd still probably deal with somebody like Rich for that one.
Yeah.
Well, Tim Brooks just messaged on the podcast and was like, just finished those audiobooks. They were pretty awesome for Joshua Chad.
Sweet.
And he also said, just finished the Rougarou War and started the second one. Really good so far. So
he got them backwards.
Got them backwards, but that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know Tim Brooks is listening. Hey, Tim. Thank you for listening.
Tim?
Welcome.
And watching us live.
All right. Well, now, Josh, since I actually have the complete set, I know that the audiobooks for that are over 30 hours long. Estimate for us, just for the fun of it, how many actual man hours were put in to writing those 30 that you wound up with?
Oh, that's a really good question.
That's my job.
Yeah, that's what stumped me. I've never gotten that. So it's about I wrote pretty fast. When I was writing those, I was actually writing pretty fast. So I guess what you do is it was about 350,000 words, divided by about 1,500 words an hour was what I could usually do. So whatever that comes out to.
Wow.
But it took about 2.5 years from publishing the first, from finish, about 2.5 from finishing and publishing the first book to finishing and publishing the last book. So, which
Wow.
I was rocking then. Now, in the last 2.5 years, I'm still sitting on the same fantasy series, first book that I've rewritten 3 times, and it's not
Wow.
even ready yet. So, I need to get a fire lit under my ass here to get going again.
I was going to say, well, what's the general premise of this other one you're working on?
So it's going to be, it's funny. So I've done a lot of just involvement in the zombie community. And most people would say, hey, he's a zombie author, but like my first love is fantasy. Second would be guns and zombies and tactical stuff. But so I set out to write fantasy. And when I first finished it, because I finished that just before Outbreak, I'm like, I put it aside because I'm like, this isn't quite ready.
I remembered that.
Yes, because it was supposed to be, because Angel, you were there when it was supposed to be. When I finished Outbreak, I was going to write my fantasy after, or I was going to publish my fantasy after. But then enough people wanted book 2 of Outbreak, which I didn't have a plan for book 2. I'm like, maybe I'll stick with this for a couple more books. Well, it turned into 5, and so I've been working on that fantasy one for 10, 12 years. And I've got this huge world I have it in, and it's going to be part of like a series. It's going to be 18 plus books. But it's kind of it's kind of a ranger, like that, ranger or monster hunter kind of mentality, and kind of his journey. And he gets stuck with this girl that he has to transport to safety, and just like their relationship and him being used to like this outdoor rough kind of lifestyle and her not being used to it. And then of course they get monsters attack them. There's a mysterious group after them, and then there's a really cool, I hate talking about this one because the coolest part about the story is like the 3rd act reveal. So I can't tell anybody about it, but it's super freaking awesome. And it has this really cool concept that I've only seen done twice, and mine's different still. So, but it's fun. I'm ready to actually publish it, finish it.
Well, without naming any of the types of monsters you're using, are these going to be pretty much like the mainstream, even like cryptids, things of that sort?
So a little bit. So it's going to be, there's going to be some of your typical fantasy stuff. So there's going to be like dragons, and there's going to be some orcs, and there's going to be in the first book, you see some lichens, which are just, they're werewolves, but without the transforming into human. They're just a sentient race of like wolf people. But then I also have some other stuff where there's this really cool race of lizard people that are actually good. This one like pterodactyl vulture thing with like spines that shoots out of its tail in one. Ooh. And then there's another subspecies that actually has like a scorpion type of tail. So those were fun because those are more or less completely unique. So because cool. I love creating monsters, and I love The Witcher. The Witcher is probably my favorite show. So that monster hunter vibe, I really like that.
Nice.
Cool. Richard, you got anything for him?
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. So you've got what, 5 books in your zombie series?
Yep.
Okay. So what is your background as far as what you did before you started writing, or what do you do now? Or?
Yeah, a little bit of everything now, because trying to be a full-time author is pretty hard. But anyway, so born and raised in Alaska, and we moved down. I lived in Colorado, Montana, and after high school, my dad's a professional hunting guide. He owns his own business. So he takes people out in Alaska, Montana, Alaska now, and some Montana, and then used to be Colorado at one point, on these outdoor trips to go hunt brown bears, moose, Dall sheep. And so that's what I grew up in. And then after high school, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go try it for a year and see how it is. Cause I didn't want to pay money to go back to school. Because once I was done with high school, I was done. And so I started guiding for my dad, and I did that for 11, 12 years. So I would take people out on these, usually they were 8 to 10 day excursions, either after brown bear, grizzly bear, moose, Dall sheep, And then in Montana for mule deer, antelope, and elk. And that's pretty much what I did full time. And it was nice because it left like it's a full-time job, but it's only seasonal. So it's like 4 months out of the year nonstop. I mean, if my hunt, because they're scheduled back to back, if I don't get an animal early, it is 2.5 months straight of guiding in Alaska, living in a tent, no running water, no electricity. And then I come back to Montana, I usually have a week or two off, and then it's a hunting camp. And that's more like your normal kind of lodge deer camp. I mean, not a nice lodge, but more like it was nice, but it wasn't that nice. And so it would leave 8 to 7 months of the year open. And so in that time was when I started this writing, just as kind of like I guess I'll try it. I never wanted to really, I love to write, but I never wanted to like be an author because I didn't see it as a viable job, because not that I didn't put, there's a word there, but not that I didn't think it was real, but just I didn't think I could get there. And I didn't know very much about self-publishing. And then I started learning about that. And then these books did what they did. And I'm like, okay, this could be an option if, you actually write and release, which is why I'm doing the writing. My wife and I have a small publishing company that we're just publishing a few books through. We're not doing much anymore. I am a writing and self-publishing coach. And then I start a part-time job next Wednesday because, all that stuff isn't quite enough. So got to throw that in as well. Got to stay busy.
It takes a while to get there, and I'll let you know when I get there. It'll be, if I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of full-time myself, but I take care of my parents mostly. So, even I have a hard time getting all the time I can get. I'm taking care of my parents.
Yeah.
Well,
And you have a drinking horn.
Yes.
Yes, I see that. Yeah.
Are we Viking heritage?
Oh, I wish. My wife is. She's because my father-in-law, like he traced ancestry and stuff, and so she's a shield maiden. I am more Irish, Scottish on one side, German, Russian on the other.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jennifer's got a special kind of heritage. She's Sicilian and Scottish, so she's got a mix of Viking and Roman heritage, you can say.
Yes.
Which is why I'm kind of jealous of her, because she's got
I'm a
mix of
fun
two of
mutt.
my favorite civilizations.
I say she's a
Vikings
mutt.
and the Romans.
I'm a mutt like everybody else.
Yeah, we're all a little bit of
Yeah.
something, aren't we?
I think you still got that tattoo, right, Jen?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Sicilian.
Oh yeah.
My
Well, since we're
Sicilian
showing
flag behind Omarta.
since we're showing off tattoos, I keep seeing the one on the back of your hand, Josh. What is up with that?
Yeah,
What-
what
So-
is that?
That is, I think it's probably going to be
Journey
backwards.
as in the
So,
group?
Journey, no. So journey
Oh.
before destination.
No.
So like I said, fantasy nerd. So this is a simplified version of the Wheel of Time symbol, which is a big fantasy series. And then
Cool.
Yeah.
Journey Before Destination is Brandon Sanderson, one of the biggest fantasy, and he's a sci-fi now, authors of, he just raised 41 or 47 million dollars on Kickstarter for his 4 new books.
Wow.
Holy
Oh
smoke.
yeah. Oh
Wow.
yeah. He is the biggest right now.
I also have my
Ooh.
Valkyrie tattoo.
Oh, that is awesome.
Oh, that is cool.
That is
Thanks.
awesome.
Thanks. So
It's-
yeah, I've got my Sicilian on one arm and my Valkyrie on the other.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and you ought to see her when she powers up because they start to glow and everything.
Everything
They fire
glows, it
bolts
gets
out of her
bigger.
hands.
Hair starts standing on end.
Now,
Oh man.
what's the hardest thing you've encountered trying to be an author, especially a full-time author? What's been the thing that it just made you at points go, I don't know if this is such a good idea or not, and yet you pressed on?
So it's hard to narrow
Stumped
down.
him. I stumped him again.
I was going to say, this is quite unusual. Usually I'm just ready with all these answers and I never stop talking.
Oh, Jack is
But
the
I-
master of stumping you.
Yes.
He does it to me
Yeah.
all the time. So don't feel
It's
bad.
good. These are good questions too. It's not your stereotypical ones. So it would be, I guess I guess what would tie into it all is kind of the mental health of doing this. And by that, I mean, like, I have struggled a little bit with depression, especially last 2020 was a bad year. But normally, like, that's not something I usually deal with too much. But just the I guess having a family, I've got a 1.5-year-old son, and the pressure of like, okay, I got to make this work. This is what I'm doing full time, and one of the reasons why I'm getting a part-time job now is because it's like, okay, we're not quite making enough, and I don't want to have this pressure anymore. I want to be able to be like, okay, we got steady money coming in, because the writing, especially self-publishing, I mean, it's up and down. I mean, one day the book makes $2, the next it makes 20, the next week it doesn't hardly do anything. And so it's like, oh my goodness. And then you don't get paid 2 months till after it was made and blah, 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 blah. And so just staying, I guess the pressure, and that's partly my fault for going full-time sooner, which certain circumstances kind of pushed us towards it. It's like, okay, instead of trying to figure out something else now that I'm kind of phasing out of guiding, let's just try this full-time and see how it works. And I mean, it worked for the last couple of years and then now, but so that would be it, because that ties into, for me, I write from the heart. I can't really just like shut down and just put words on the page. I tried it and it is like, it's terrible. And I mean, not only is it like one word an hour, it's just like the worst crap that I've ever read. And so having to like kind of to press on mentally sometimes in like life, and having that pressure come into writing, that's probably been the hardest part, because I love the business side of things. Because I was raised where my dad owns his own business, I know a lot of the business practices. I love a lot of that stuff. So that's why I love self-publishing. So marketing's still it's a pain in the ass. Like I'm just like ads anyways. I'm trying to find some new ways to market, but ads they're just dumb. So that's, but like, it probably just that, yeah, I guess I'd say mental health balance of and not getting stuck and not getting too, I guess, in your head in a bad way for me.
What's your right now, as far as marketing is concerned, what do you find to be the most successful so far?
So at one point before COVID, Amazon ads were really good. And then when COVID hit, all the big presses started using Amazon ads. So where I was paying like 20 to 25 cents a click, I'm now paying 75 to 80 cents. And I just can't make that profitable anymore. Facebook ads have kind of been back and forth. I'm really trying some new stuff. So I'm trying to find some out of the box stuff. Nice. So I'm going to be doing, and it doesn't, I guess there's right now there's not. I guess the biggest thing paid wise is there's newsletter promos like Book Funnel or Book Barbarian or Fussy Librarian, things like that, where I'll put a book on sale and I'll just do a one-time fee of anywhere from $20 to $100, and then they send it out. And those have been pretty successful. Sometimes they're not, and sometimes they are. But
and what you said, Josh, I wanted to add, it makes sense, because I remember right before Hurricane Maria hit me, Angel's Nightmare Adventure 1, the first zombie book I will hit over close to the 1,000, over close to 1,000 on the entire Amazon store. I was killing it. But then, like you said, everything just changed. Now I can barely get below 10,000 in the entire store. So it's gotten more competitive, as you said.
Yes.
I just started Amazon ads, I guess, about a month ago, and it's hit or miss. I'm generating quite a few impressions, but I don't know how many. It gives you a basic on how many are generating into sales, and I'm not sure if there's really a return on investment just yet. But.
Yes. Have you heard of kindlepreneur.com?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because he's got a free course on Amazon ads. It's really, because I got Mark Dawson's course a while ago, which is a big investment, and it's really good. But like Kindlepreneur, it's free, and his are just as good as Mark Dawson's were.
Okay. The keywords are what kills me.
That's my favorite.
Well, they give you some ambiguous ways to come up with keywords, and I got that. Publisher Rocket?
Publisher Rocket, yep.
Yeah, I don't know if the keywords are doing all that great or not.
I mean, I sell books daily. I get sales daily, so I guess something's working for me. But I still might to do better on keywords. That's kind of my weakness as well. So don't feel bad, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, my sales have picked up a lot.
Now, one thing that did happen, we discovered at the event.
Yeah.
This lady came up and said that she got an email thing to let her know about Rich's book, and then sure enough, she walks up and we're there, and she's like, "Oh my God!" and came up and told him. It's like, well, okay,
it's him.
It worked. It's like, this is the guy with the email, and that one seemed to have at least done something. We got one person. We know we got that.
Marketing seems to be everybody's biggest challenge. I mean, I don't care what industry you're in.
Yes.
I'm just starting we started a pool business. We moved from Ohio out to Arizona, which is why it's so beautiful behind me.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is. It's just phenomenal. And just coming out here to start a pool business, even everybody's got a dang pool out here, but marketing is a whole nother animal, you know. And I'm glad that we didn't start off super fast, but it's like, geez Louise, marketing is such a strange animal that trying to find the perfect trifecta.
It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some things are going to stick and a lot doesn't.
Well,
that hopefully we can figure something out that'll help you out, Josh.
Yeah, and what Jack was talking about, that lady that recognized me in the book and everything was from one of those email campaigns, like like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
because I did that before my book release, my last book, and I also did it before a free promo, and it really helped out quite a bit.
I can, and then
now, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, but I think another thing that's going to be a challenge for us is this inflation, man. It's it's just going to make people just not want to spend things on nutcheries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I have to worry about. I mean, I don't know how much you're paying in gas, Josh, but out here it's close to $5 a gallon.
Yeah, we're $4.50.
Yeah, so you're not, and you're in Michigan, right, John?
Yeah, Upper Michigan. Yep.
Yeah, that's where my girlfriend is too. And
oh, sweet.
Yeah. What part of Upper Michigan you in, Josh?
We're on the far, southwestern end, down by we're in Iron Mountain. So we're only like an hour and a half north of Green Bay.
My girlfriend, she lives in Curtis. She lives in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, by the middle. She's closer to Saint Sault Marie. She's about 45 minutes away from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out there one day. So yeah, I'm trying.
Hey, if you get up here, definitely let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I got to see. Yeah, so we can meet up, man.
Well, now that was one of the things that we had learned from doing the Sasquatch Festival was you can absolutely sell books there. You know, at any kind of a thing, as long as you really be energized. Don't just sit there like a knot on a log staring at everybody as they walk by. Get up and engage with people, and they'll buy it. And in a lot of cases, sometimes all you gotta do is just be patient. He literally had a kid come up, mom bought him a book. They left, went and stood in line somewhere else. Well, while they're in line, the kid's reading book one, gets to a certain point. We don't know where he got to, but it had to have been something impactful because he's like, Mom, we got to go back and get that second book. And sure enough, they were right back at the tent, book 2 out of here. It was like, okay, that's a good sign.
That's
so
awesome.
Now, do you get a chance to do festivals or, author signing deals or anything like that?
Yes. So that's actually one of the, I guess I would say if we kind of go back to marketing as not just advertising, but marketing in general, that's one of the biggest things we're hitting. Me and my wife are hitting hard. Okay, we're not hitting hard, but we're hitting it harder this year and we're going to try and hit it even harder next year. Hitting hard to me is like, I want to do one every month. And then what we're actually doing is like one every 3 months. But so yes, we've started doing, so my wife does, I don't have anything around here, but she burns on leather with a wood burner. We're about to switch it over to a laser engraver because having a year and a half old son is taking up a lot of time. And so she goes to craft shows and we buy a booth area and we can put as many tables as we want. So we're like, I'll put a table up, maybe sell one book to, craft show people, a lot of old ladies. And I mean, just that type of crowd. And actually selling books at craft shows, like I've never made it big, like I've never done, but I mean, a couple $100 here or there, like that's awesome. Like, and this is zombie apocalypse at a craft show. But you're right. You have to engage people. And I usually wait as soon as they'll kind of glance. And if they glance at it, and if they stay looking long enough, I'll say, hey, and then if they actually come in, then I'll start talking with them and stuff. So like you're saying now, and I think you said in the last podcast, maybe like you got to engage them. You got to be friendly because I went up because at the one I went to, there was a couple other authors there as well. And they actually were saying they do pretty well. And I went up to the one guy's booth and great guy, turns out, but I had to like drag the questions out of him and drag to get him to engage. And I'm just like, and I guess that comes for me. I love that kind of stuff. I love in person. I'm an extroverted writer. A lot of writers are introverts. And so I love talking to people. And if you get me talking about my writing, it's over. We're going to be there all day. Yep.
I was going to say 2 things that you have. One thing you definitely have going for you is you have a talented wife who can make crafts like I do. I've got that.
Yes.
There you go.
And one other key component to have is take Jack Childress with you to your next event. I guarantee you'll make some sales just by having him there alone.
You want to
Well,
talk about engaging?
Well, it was
That's
like
that
what you
guy.
had just said
Oh,
about if you
sweet.
catch somebody looking at something for that extra second, you get them
Mhm.
right then. And that's what I would do. And what was getting people to Rich's booth was his shirts, because we had them hanging on the corner over there, and they would look over and see the
Oh.
shirt, and they would at first they start staring at it like, and then they kind of go,
What the hell?
and then they start waddling over to it. And the moment they waddle over, I'm like, hey, by the way, the covers that you see on the front of that shirt right there are the covers for this book right here. Ta-da!
There you
And
go.
it's kind of run
Yeah.
from there. And then they're like, well, is the author around to sign it? And I go, Rich. Oh, okay. And then
Yep.
he's signing away. Another
Yep.
book down the road.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's it too, is because we've done it. Like I said, we have a small publishing company. So I have a couple other books that will sell at shows too. And they don't do very good. And you'll get a lot of people that they like that genre better. But when they hear you're the author and you can sign it, and especially if it's, and not even necessarily if it's local, but even more so if it's local, I think it adds another
Mhm.
aspect to it. Because we did, my best craft show was one here in town where we're living. They're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, here. And they're like, oh, really? And it draws them out. But when they know that the author's there and they can sign it and they can get to meet them face to face, like I think that's the extra that sometimes tips them over the edge. We're like, I don't know if I'd read a zombie book, but you're here, you're an author, this is your book, maybe I'll try it. So
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for signed books. I get it.
yeah,
Tim
me
Mhm.
Brooks said to put you in a dunking booth.
Wow.
it's not a bad idea.
Why are we wanting to put our guest in a dunking booth?
There's
right now?
one way for marketing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, hey, $5
Buy a
bucks.
book, get three
Oh.
balls free. Boom,
Yeah.
right
That's
there.
actually-
Get a chance to dunk the author.
That's actually a good idea. So one of my
That
things for
actually isn't bad.
shows is I wanted to do like I want to start getting into airsoft because my one buddy does like these I don't want to get too much into it, but like live action team on
Yeah.
team, big military
Yeah.
inspired airsoft stuff, and actually a lot of military and police force do it too. And so I want to get into that. But what I was thinking is like have a zombie which you couldn't do this at most shows, but have a zombie target like 10 feet away, have a pistol, and like you get a bullseye, you get to spin the wheel for a free piece of swag or like $5 off coupon. I'm like, so now I'm thinking maybe like a sticky Nerf dart because most
There you
shows are
go.
like, hey, I want to shoot this airsoft. They're going to be like, no.
No.
I mean, unless you go to a gun show, then maybe, but anyway, so that just kind of made me think about that.
Make a cornhole board. Just
That's
put, like,
actually not a bad idea.
three
either.
holes,
That is.
3 different
Not a
prizes,
bad
you know,
idea at all.
and wherever you land, whichever one you get into, that's the prize you get.
Everybody loves
That's not a bad
cornhole.
idea. I'm going to actually write that down. That's a good idea.
That,
Yeah.
And that, by the way, that is such a horribly named game.
Yeah. Cornholio.
Oh.
Shut up, Beavis.
So Rich, I got a question for you. So when you had that lady
Okay.
come up to you that kind of had read your books, was that the first time that like a random stranger on the internet had bought your books and like met you after? Or
Mhm. Well, no, she didn't buy it online.
she just saw it.
Yeah, she
Oh,
Yeah,
saw
she saw the
advertised.
ad.
Yeah. And I did have a couple of people that had already bought book 1 and they came by just wanting book 2 for me to sign. So,
That's
that was
awesome.
really cool. Yeah.
that's awesome.
So
I
now,
got
how
a-
many? Oh, go
Go
ahead, no,
ahead.
Rich. Go ahead. Go. Your thought was still going.
Okay, I kind of okay. It's been eating at me. I have to ask you this, not to take it too far off the subject, but I know you're a outdoors guy. You spend a lot of time outdoors. Have you ever had any Bigfoot encounters?
That's a good question. So I've
Valid
actually talked to
question.
my father-in-law about this a lot because he really likes studying cryptids and stuff. And I'm kind of out here like, I mean, until I see something, I'm not really going to believe it, but I also don't not believe it because I've been in the Alaskan wilderness where I've been at places where there's maybe been a handful of people ever. So like, I mean, when you think about that, I have not. Although the one thing that I'm pretty sure it's bears, but I've talked to my father-in-law about it is like those trees that are maybe smaller. We call them pecker poles, which I realize now is probably not. I've been saying that since I was
like
little because my dad said it, and now I know what it actually means. I'm like, okay, that's probably shouldn't say that. I say some other things like that too, but anyway, that are like 7-8 feet tall, and they're just kind of like snapped off. And it's usually wind shear or it's bears. But my father-in-law was talking about it. He's like, hey, that's sign of a Bigfoot because they're so tall, they're just breaking off trees. And so that's the only thing that he said that I've seen that could be. Otherwise, just a lot of bears. No actual weird. I mean, I have heard some weird stuff that later on you figure out, okay, I look it up. That was a bobcat like crying because they sound freaking like when you're in the dark screaming. And you hear a bobcat, you're like, what in the, like that time I was pretty sure like, okay, we're going back to camp. Let me get my pistol. We're going to get all our guns and we're just going to sit here and then we'll go hunt later on in the day.
Well, since Sasquatch do tend to travel through treetops, that's why you don't find a lot of tracks on the ground. That's where your pecker poles come from, by the way. So, and that's fact.
Sense.
That's fact. It's scientifically proven. Sure enough.
So no Bigfoot encounters. That's disappointing. Okay, let's wrap this up, Jack. We're done.
Well, I mean, if I need to keep talking to beyond here about Bigfoot. So the one time, no, I'm kidding.
So now of all the cryptids, since we got on that subject all of a sudden, what's your favorite?
Ooh, so I don't know a whole lot of them. Probably be anything that's kind of dragon related. I think there's like a lizard thing, like there's a couple actually Michigan specific, because I mean there's a because I talked to my father-in-law about this. Like I said, we get off on these tangents and I love them because I mean as like, do I think they're real? But I love even just thinking about it because it's like more real life fantasy sci-fi. Like I'm fascinated by that. So there was one, and I can't remember where it was, but it was like some sort of lizard. It was either a lizard man or like a basilisk type of thing. That would probably one of my favorites. I do like, I don't know if it's so cryptid, but mythology, but like Native American skinwalkers, which is kind of like down in, I think, Arizona, New Mexico, like that, just like these crazy people eating shapeshifters. Like that is like, I love mythology. And I think there's like a very small difference, I think, between the cryptids and mythology, because like mythology is based off of something. It's either somebody's wild imagination or it's, something that people couldn't explain at the time. And so I love like, there's a series that is, I guess you would call it urban fantasy mythology, but it talks about a lot of like, there's cryptids in there, and then like modern day if mythology was real. And so like that's when he was talking about the skinwalkers, and it was cool because he went into like the a little more of the culture about it and the myths and that kind of stuff. So those are terrifying and fun.
Okay, well, you do know that the skinwalker is also another term used to describe the rougarou.
Rougarous.
Oh, really? And so what
that
is
I was not aware of either.
Show him, Rich. You got him.
Because I saw
right
because I saw the cover on your profile.
Yeah, check it out. Look at that's the rougarou.
Yeah, it's a rougarou.
That's terrifying. So is it like a giant Bigfoot werewolf?
Well, it's basically a Cajun werewolf, hence the name rougarou. Yeah, kind of that French Cajun kind of the sound.
Skinwalkers are actually, it's a Navajo myth that it's actually a witch gone bad, and the witch then takes on the form of specific animals, whether it's coyote, wolf, owls, foxes. I mean, they could take on any type of animal and change so that they can, draw you out and kill you, basically. I was actually, before all of this, was getting ready to start a podcast series on mysteries in America. And it's called Mysteries America. And I was going to do all this stuff, and I wanted to start with the skinwalkers. I actually sent a letter, an email, and an actual physical letter to the Navajo Nation, because I'm in Tucson, so I'm about 6 hours south of where the Navajo Nation is. They will not respond because the Navajo absolutely do not talk with non-tribal people about skinwalkers, because they don't want the skinwalkers coming after you. They don't want to put that on you.
I want to put that.
Yes. So it's just, it's a very, very interesting, the skinwalkers are very interesting to me. I like how, where their myth comes from. I don't like how it's a specific type of person, because being a witch is a belief, which that's part of my belief system. And I consider myself a witch, because whether it's because I use spells or whether it's because I use herbs and stuff like that, we're all doing some kind of alchemy just when we're cooking, because we're using herbs and spices and stuff like that. But it was something very interesting to me, and something that I really wanted to look into a long time ago, because they're one of my favorites to look into. So, but that's kind of where the whole skinwalker idea came from, was the Navajo tradition and the Navajo beliefs.
If you ever
guys,
start shape shifting on our podcast, Jen, it's really going to freak me out. I'll just tell you that up front. So
I'll be on the horn with Buford and the gang in a heartbeat.
I'm not going bad, guys.
Good. As long as you stay on the right side.
Yeah.
Glenda's a good witch.
Now,
Well, guys,
Josh,
Oh,
I got a
let's
question.
say, go ahead, Angel. Go ahead.
I got a question for you. What's your favorite historical period?
Another
Good one.
really good question. So I know most about the Old West, because that's the kind of the movies I grew up on. Which,
Okay.
granted, movies aren't necessarily. I mean, it's Hollywood, but I do know.
I
mean,
understand. Yeah, just like Braveheart and Gladiator. Yeah.
yeah. So that would probably be the one I know most of. I love. That would probably be, it'd be a close second to, actually, in all honesty, Angel, that Roman gladiator period, and that would probably be my second. That's actually, because if I ever do, actually, when I do, I've got an idea for I think it's maybe a standalone book, might turn into a series the way I go. But it's going to be zombies kind of in ancient Rome.
I actually have a book set in that period too. So
yes, I've got. That's the one that I've been meaning to get from you. Actually, I've got a couple of the other copies.
Yeah, you gotta get on that. It's a mix of it's ancient Rome and Dungeons and Dragons and a mix too. Jack can tell you better too. He's read it. He's read both of them actually.
Well, guys, we're starting to get close to the end of the show, but there is one last story that I think not only do I want to hear, but I think the viewers would love to hear. It just encapsulates how tight the bond is amongst the writers, especially the ones in our group, the way they come together for each other, no matter what the circumstances are.
Yeah.
Angel went through one hellacious hurricane, and it turns out Josh was one of the first people there in spirit with him to help, lift him up, bring him along. Tell that story, guys.
Yeah, I mean, because I didn't know Josh before the hurricane. This was after I was 3 months of I don't even want to talk about it because it just brings back some of the worst memories. But I got back to Puerto Rico in December, started to just repair stuff, trying to get back to some sort of normalcy. And around, I think, July or February, I kind of met Josh in his group. He had a group. I forgot the name, Josh. You remember
the Kick-Ass Readers.
Yeah, there you go. And I was actually a moderator for that group too, because I was always posting some fun stuff, and I got to introduce to the Buddhist Creed, and I never really told Joshua what I went through. I just acting like everything was okay. But then one day I just came forward and told him, man, this is where I am right now, and so we just support each other, and it's just a wonderful story. I've known him for many years already, so yeah, man, thank you. I'm glad we met, Josh, man, seriously.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad I could be there at least in a little bit, because it's amazing how because for me at that time, I'm just trying to get to know you and kind of help you, and I didn't even realize at the time how big of an impact it was, because I'm just trying to I guess just talk with you through it, and just through Facebook Messenger and stuff, and
I understand, because you wasn't here when it happened, and you just have no idea, so it's not fun. Let's put it that way. It's definitely not fun. I think the closest thing you experienced, Josh, was a tornado. Have you? Yeah, and those could be devastating.
Know about that firsthand.
Yeah,
Took
I
one
know
to the
that.
face. March 2020.
Oh,
Well, guys, we have had another spectacular show. Josh, I need to talk to you after the show. But in the meantime, and the in-between time, for Richard Ryan Rose, Jennifer Amato, Angel Ramon, and the guest of the week, Joshua freaking Chad, we are out.
Take it easy,
see you
guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.